Now, I don't know why he's looking at us. David, do you know why the hippo is looking at us? It's that time, David. It is that time, David. It is time for the dimples. Away from the camera, David. Away from the camera, David. David, come stand here. Just lock the camera off. Come stand here and show everyone your lovely dimples. Just lock the camera off. Come, David. He's coming, guys. He's coming. He's just taking his time. Now come, you got to get off the car, David, so you can't just pop your head in and run away. Okay. So now you got to smile for the dimples, David. He's trying not to smile, so I'll tickle him. So there we go. There's his dimples. I can't remember. Anne, I think it was. There we go. Dimple smile, David. So there we go. There's David's dimples. Well done, David. I love putting camera in front of the camera. They look so awkward. It's hilarious. He thinks it's funny. Some birds have arrived, David. It looks like some hooded vultures have come down for a drink right in the top corner. Have you heard anything from Final Control? No, me neither. Here we go, some hooded vultures. I did not pull my earpiece out. David pulled my earpiece out. Let us get that straight. There we go. Some hooded vultures, probably coming from that buffalo carcass, and it's not too far away. And still no sign of Kruger. There we go. I'm going to do this now because it's going to make him blush even more. David, the viewers think you are so handsome. Look at the cheeks. Oh, look at this, so cute. He's got red all over his cheeks. Was that just sunburn? No, that's not sunburn because you put sun cream on. Look at his cheeks. They're so flushed. Oh, he's shaking his head at me. Oh, Darby. And, oh, dear. Oh, dearie me. I was thinking, there's been no sign of alarm calls. We're getting to the right time of the day to start hearing them. Tundi should be up and on the move. But I think maybe let's go take a swing past the lions again in a little while. What do you think, Dave?
Sounds good.
Let's go have a look, see if those lions have decided to be a little bit more active. Now, while we use the wind to cool down the red cheeks of Davy Dimples, let's go back to Tay. Let's see what she's up to.
Don't worry, there'll be a switch up soon and you'll be free. Oh, sorry, I don't know what happened. My audio disappeared for some bizarre reason. Let me say that all again. I said I have to do. It's always hard doing it a second time. It's never as sincere, but we'll give it a bash. Okay, 3, 2, 1. I'm so sorry, Davey, that you've got to drive with Brent. There'll be a switch up soon and you'll be free for him, and then Craig will be stuck with Brent again. Though Craig and Brent are like an old married couple. It's quite funny to watch the two of them. They fight like an old married couple. That's exactly it. Hey, Craig. Are you missing Brent? Shall we go and drop you off and then I can take David back on game drive? Hey? Craig is now begging me not to go there. No, I'm joking. I'm only teasing. We do love you sometimes, Brent. I'm just joking. Brent's like, he acts like my annoying big brother, and he's already put me on his hit list this afternoon because, let me tell you the story, because I'll tell you why we don't have any animals. Standing there chatting, deciding what we're going to do before safari starts, and the next minute Craig snuck up to Brent and licked his finger like this and stuck it straight into Brent's ear and then ran for his life, because Brent's notorious for doing the most inappropriate things to everybody. It's fun, so much fun. And then I, of course, keeled over laughing. I thought I was going to choke because I couldn't breathe very well, and also just swallowed some water. And so that was quite funny. So then Brent said that I'm on his hit list and he was going to try and get me back today, or I don't know. We'll see. I'm just going to carry a branch with me, and if he comes near me, I'm going to hit him. So we actually tried to go back and find the herd of elephants that we had a little bit earlier, but unfortunately, no luck. We did find them again, but they're in the bushes, and I thought that they would have moved further through the drainage line and been closer up onto Rebecca's road, but no. They've actually just started going, and they're munching away, having the best time ever, which is a bit sad, because I was really hoping we were going to be able to see them again. Maybe a little bit later. They might be a bit dark. It's not always nice viewing elephants, especially in very dense areas at night. Even though we have got the infrared lights, we can see them on the monitor, but I'm still not really able to see what's going on around me. So we're going to go towards Gari Gate now, and then just check a small section of Triple M. Who knows? Maybe the Nkuhumas were on the move. Perhaps those lions are on their way back. We don't really know, so I'm going to do a bit of investigating down that way. Tristan, however, has repositioned himself at Chitwa Dam. Let's go and see the view he's got.
We have indeed. We have a bit of a reflection. Sorry, I'm laughing at Sebastian because Sebastian thought I maybe spotted something and was very confused as to why it stopped at a dead tree on the bank of Chitwa. But it is pretty. Your reflection, your camera work was good there. Well done, Seb. You definitely made something out of nothing. And the reason I was here is to try and see if we could find our little baby croc, or crocs, should I say. I know Taylor saw one yesterday, but there's no little baby crocs that we can see on the banks under the tree anywhere. They often used to use this area. I don't know if she saw it in this section. Was it here, Seb? When you were frogging. Was it when you were frogging? It was when you were frogging. On the other side. Okay, so we're on the wrong side altogether. No wonder there's no baby crocodile here. There's also very little else that is moving around at our dead tree. So we're going to move on from our dead tree so that I don't have to make Seb get too arty about what's going on. Sorry, Sebastian. My fault. Anyway, it was at least something different. It's challenging, exactly. I was giving you a dead tree and you needed to make something out of it. Clifford, yes, the trees here do lose their leaves in winter. Well, not all of them. A lot of them do, some of them don't. But most of the trees will be barren and bare and not have any leaves on them at all. So not very nice when it's in winter. It doesn't look nearly as pretty as it does this time of the year. This time of the year it's so beautiful because you've got all these shades of green and you've got little seed pods and everything like that brings a bit of colour, whereas in winter it just gets a little bit more drab and sort of a bit more brown in coloration, not nearly as pretty as you'd want it to be. So hopefully, though, this year we'll get a bit of late rain and that will allow us to keep some of our colours a little longer. Now there's a greenbacked heron that's just flown into the tree here. Now, greenbacked heron, behave yourself and do not fly away. Otherwise, you are going to be in trouble with me, and I'm pretty sure it is going to fly away because greenbacked herons are a little shy when they're not out down by the water. It's this big dead tree. You see it there, Seb, right in the middle of the tree, in the sort of V of the tree. It's sitting on a branch. It's going to fly. There it goes. So there goes our greenbacked heron, flying ever so quickly. Well done, Sebastian. That's very good. Not easy to follow a greenbacked heron in flight. Like I said to you, they're a little bit shy unless they're on the edge of water. When they're on the edge of water, then they're an absolute treat because they'll sit. And that looks like a young greenbacked heron, although it's turned. Hold on, Seb, we might get it coming straight back at us. What are you doing, heron? Oh, there we go. Is there two of them there? There is. It looks like they're having a little fight. Now, one has been overthrown and been pushed off. That looks like more of an adult. I don't know if it's the same bird that we just saw. Oh, birds are just chasing each other all over the place at the moment. Well done, Sebastian. Not easy, like I say, to follow a bird in flight. So, very good job indeed. And these greenbacked herons at Chitwa Dam are some of my favorites. So, hopefully it's the right time now for them to start hunting. And hopefully we'll be able to find one hunting somewhere here. And we get them on the edge of the water and they stalk around in their little kinked neck and they wait for any unsuspecting fish to come closer. But let's try to get a little closer to that. Talking of being closer, let's try to get closer towards our heron. The good thing is that obviously Taylor's rain dance has somehow failed because for now no rain, which is very, very good. So I believe a lot of you were also yawning with the hippo. I'm sorry, guys, that's the hippo set you all off. I hope it was the hippo and not us, because it's been a quiet afternoon, so hopefully we haven't been that boring. It just means, sorry, Rebecca, I didn't get that we're not a serial killer. Is that what you said? I hope I'm not a serial killer. If you sympathy yawn, it means you're not a serial killer. Where does that come from?
Wow, babe.
I don't know where you read this stuff, but I feel like somebody's telling you fibs and just trying to make you feel better, but I don't know anything about sympathy. You learnt it in psychology. When they interviewed serial killers, they would not yawn, they had no sympathy and therefore were a serial killer. But what if you're just somebody that's not sympathetic, but you don't kill people? I mean, you can be unsympathetic and not a serial killer. But then you have psychopathic tendencies. Wow. Sebastian, next time a hippo yawns, yawn. Otherwise, apparently we're psychopaths. Yeah, I'm also scared not to yawn or yawn. I'm confused. Why is there so much pressure now all of a sudden for yawning? Just don't yawn anywhere near Rebecca. I'm going to be psychoanalyzed and be told that I'm a serial killer. I'm not a serial killer, by the way. I'm most certainly, definitely not. Unless we are... So we must yawn. Okay. So now I'm just going to walk around Rebecca and yawn randomly. Just pretend like I'm a yawner. Now, I was hoping we'd find a crocodile somewhere here, but they seem to be eluding us as well. It's all quite quiet at Chitwa Dam for now. There's a pied kingfisher, actually, straight across the bank from us. Seb, on the tree fallen over on the backside. So if you go in there, straight in the middle, there we go. There's our little pied kingfisher that is sitting ever so prettily on a dead branch that is eyeing out any unsuspecting fish that might be coming across. Now, I'm not sure if this is male or female just yet. It needs to turn the opposite way so that I can see if it is male or female and see whether or not we are dealing with a boy or a girl. But they are both here. I've seen two of them flying around quite a bit, so the other one must be here somewhere, and of course it's now flown away, so I'm not going to be able to actually see. Is it going to come and land in the same place? No, it landed a little further away. So lots of birds flittering about, but none of our big animals. So it looks like a boy because he's got his belt and his bow tie. So for those of you who think I'm absolutely mad and are a bit confused as to what I'm on about, give me 2 seconds because I'll show you what I'm talking about. I just need to find my app quickly. Pied Kingfisher. Let's not be dyslexic and spell wrong quickly. So this is a problem when you've got big thumbs, is that you end up doing these things and causing a bit of a problem. But anyway, here we go. So we've got our kingfishers, our pied kingfisher, and I was saying to you that you can ID them, male and female, and the reason you can ID them is because they have different markings on their sort of front areas. So the male, you can see he's got a belt on, and then he's got his little bow tie that comes off, and then the female, well, what should we say she has? Any ideas, Seb? She has a scarf, should we say, but it's not a complete scarf, but she has half a collar. She's wearing a collared shirt, put it that way. And so you've got male and female that look like that, and so that looked like a male because he had the band that came along. And there we go, pied kingfisher. If you're wondering how to spell the name and you don't want to be like me and spell things wrong, there we go. Excellent. Good. Now, I'm not sure where we're going to head from here. I'm pretty sort of at a loss as to where to go. Oh, First Lady, how many different species of heron do we have? Here in Sabi Sands, or just in general in Southern Africa, in terms of the Southern Africa birds list? In Sabi Sand. Okay, Sabi Sand, we have the following herons. Do night herons count, Rebecca? Yes, no? Rebecca, anyway? No, Rebecca's not answering me, so I'm just gonna make it. Night herons count. Okay, so then we have white-backed night heron, black-crowned night heron, grey heron, black-headed heron, purple heron, Goliath heron, green-backed heron. So that is 7. Who am I missing now in terms of the herons? I don't think black heron has been seen here in the Sabi Sands. I might be wrong. Who else am I missing? I feel like I'm missing a very important one. Did I say purple and Goliath? Goliath heron, did I say that? That might be 8. I don't know if I did. So Goliath, purple, grey, black-headed, squacco heron we do get, green-backed heron, white-backed night heron, black-crowned night heron. So that is 8 different herons that I count. I might have missed one. No, that's the herons that we get. So 8 different heron species here in the Sabi Sands. And if we were to add any of the others to be able to make up a full list for the Southern Africa, there would be, I think it's 10, which is the Madagascar pond heron is also in there, and black heron. So that would make up the 10 that we are missing. So we are not missing too many. We see most of the herons here. Unfortunately, we see very few of the purple and the Goliath herons because we're not on a major river. You find those guys more on river systems. So lots of purple and Goliath herons down on the sand and the Sabi River. You see them in that area quite often. But isn't it beautiful with these hippos in this late afternoon light? We've got beautiful coloration on the water at the moment. It's very, very, very pretty. And so it's a nice time to be at Chitwa Dam. Now, apparently, Rebecca there is telling me that it's almost time for school drive. So before we start school drive, might as well just take a moment's silence to enjoy Chitwa Dam in this beautiful light. And so I'm just going to sit quietly until the time that school drive starts. Right, now it is a very, very, very warm welcome to the schools that are joining us this afternoon. So Evoca West, Sullivan Middle School and Milburn Elementary. It is a warm welcome from myself, Tristan, and Sebastian on camera. You are with us live in the Sabi Sands for an interactive game drive. So I hope that you are going to enjoy every little bit of this and that you are going to see lots of wonderful things. Remember that you can ask lots of questions and we'll try and answer as many as we can. And you can do that by giving them to your teacher, and your teacher then will send them to us. Now at the moment I'm sitting at a big waterhole because it's now around sunset, and this is the time where a lot of animals will come and drink. So things like lions and leopards and elephants, they'll make their way down for water at this time, and it's a really good place to be in a late afternoon, particularly because we had quite a warm day today. It was about 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and so it was very, very warm, and that means that a lot of the animals might be thirsty. Now you will see on the water that there are these little black dots all over the place. Now those are all for hippos. So we are at a place where a whole bunch of hippos are in the water at the moment, and they spend most of their day here. What they do is they come into the water early in the morning, just before the sun rises, and they come and they sit in the water throughout the day before they then start to leave when the sun sets. So now we'll have a situation where hopefully these guys are going to start coming out. Now before we head off to send you to some of my friends that are out and about, I would love to know what you guys would want to hear about hippos, and so I hope that you'll have lots and lots of questions on the hippos and what they get up to. And so while you think of your questions, let's go across to Brent, who is up and about and is moving, looking for a very spotted elusive cat.
Oh, well, I've stopped looking for a spotted cat for a while, and a big welcome to all our schools today. Now, if I remember correctly, one of our schools is called Evoca. Now, I've got something very special if you are from Evoca West School, because over there, hiding behind a log, is a male lion. It is not the best view of him, unfortunately. Here we go. You can just see him breathing heavily, and you can see a bit of his ears and his mane. And he is part of a group of 3 young male lions called the Evoca Pride. They are called the Evoca Male Lions, or the Evoca Coalition. There's a farm in the Timbavati Game Reserve to the north of us called Evoca, and that's where they were born, so that's their name. Oh, but quickly across to Tristan.
Indeed, so we have a kingfisher, which is called a pied kingfisher, that has managed to catch a fish. And look, it's trying to kill the fish, so you see it's hitting it, and there it goes. It now is going to swallow that fish whole. Oopsie, it looks like it got a bit stuck. Oh, there it is, down into the throat and swallowed. So what it did is it would have hovered, it went down and grabbed a fish, and then it came flying to this branch, and then it beat the fish against the branch to try and subdue it and kill it, and then it swallowed it down. Isn't that amazing? And what you'll find is this little kingfisher now will wipe its beak on the stick and try and get rid of any scales from that fish that are, or any saliva and any sort of bits of, oh, going to the toilet too, any little bits that are on the beak itself, and keep it nice and clean. So let's see, it might fly off and go somewhere else. It's this time of the day where you'll find a lot of the fish-eating birds. There we go, so it's going to have a little bath now. That wasn't looking for another fish. That's just to dive into the water to clean its feathers. And now you see what I was saying? It's going to clean its beak by using the branch. It wipes its beak on the branch on each side. So it just washed its face. It's like when you have ribs or something like that for dinner and you get all full of food, then you have to go and wash your face and hands. It's the same for this kingfisher. It's gone to do exactly that. So it's gone into the water just to clean itself off, and that's what it's doing. So it's not actually doing fishing at the moment. It's not going to actually be trying to catch fish. It's more just to try and clean itself off for the most part. And you see now it will use its beak just to go through its feathers, make sure it gets all its feathers nice and clean again. The reason also it does this is because when it catches fish, it dives into the water and it splashes, and that will make all of its feathers wet and soggy. And so once it's swallowed and it's had a bit of a bath, it then goes and uses its beak to preen, to get everything nice and kind of clean, and to make sure there's a situation where all the feathers are back in the right place. Also got to scratch your head and make sure that that's okay. Now this particular bird is a female, and you might be wondering how I know it's a female. So just now we saw them, and I was telling our other viewers how it is, or how we know male and female apart. But if you look on this bird, it's got a little black collar that is there. Now the male will have an extra black line that runs underneath that collar. It's almost like a little belt that he has on, whereas the female only has the collar, and so that's how we know that this is a female bird or a girl bird, and is kind of flying around. Now the male is here. We saw him just now also flying about. Then, in terms of how long I spend on safari, well, we spend close to about 7 hours a day on safari. So we go out early in the morning, and then we go out for about 3.5 hours, and in the afternoon we do the same again. So the reason why we do it early in the morning and late in the afternoon is because it's the best time for the animals. So the animals tend to move around sunrise and sunset, and so we spend a long time like that. Sometimes if we are doing safaris in other places, then we'll even stay out through the night, and it can be a much longer safari that we do. But here in this part of South Africa, we normally do about 7 hours a day. It's a really nice job to have because we get to spend our time with all of the animals. And then you can see actually that some of the hippos are getting close. There's a little baby hippo that's coming out. Oh no, it's just disappeared. There's our little baby hippo. How cute is that little one? So it's just going to go under the water. So we'll be patient and wait for our baby hippo to come back up to the surface. And while we do that, let's go back across to Brent and see what those lions are up to.
Well, we couldn't get much better of a view of the lions, so we decided to show you some vultures. Now, these lions have a stolen buffalo kill that they stole from a group of female lions, and the vultures are all up in the tree because the lions are there. Mario is wondering, does that lion we saw have a family? It does not. It's only got his 3 brothers, Mario, and they are what we call a coalition of males, and they are too young to have a family just yet, but they are at the stage or the age where they will start trying to take over a family from another group of males. There we go. We got a couple of species of vulture. Those ones with a small skinny beak are called hooded vultures. Daniel and Alia would like to know, what is my favorite animal to see? It is the African wild dog. That is my favorite animal to see. And I haven't seen them in such a long time, so who knows, maybe we'll get lucky and they'll treat us all and make an appearance today. There we go, there's a vulture flying. Maggie's wondering, do we see the same animals every day? A lot of the same animals, Maggie. A lot of the same lions, same leopards. Not so much the same elephants and impala, but we do see quite a few of the same animals every day. Now, let's go have one last try back down the road for the lions. And I'm going to have a look if we've got a better view. If we don't, then I'm going to go look for a leopard. In the meantime, I'm going to introduce you to my friend, Taylor.
Hello everybody, my name is Taylor, like Brent said, and on camera with me today is Craig, but you can all call him Batman. Now, we did just have an eagle, but it flew away. So we're going to go and look for something else that's not going to fly away. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go to a dam, which is down in that direction, because it's been super, super hot today. I'm hoping that we're going to maybe get some elephants coming down for a drink of water, or maybe a leopard that has just woken up from its slumber, wanting to quench its thirst. So that's going to be the plan this afternoon. But it's good to have you all on board. And Lazzie, you've asked about elephants straight away. Fantastic. You're wondering, what do elephants eat? There's an easier question than that. What do elephants not eat? Meat. And then they eat all the vegetation. So from leaves to fruit to grass. They even push trees over and eat their roots. They'll use their tusks to strip their bark. Sounds like I'm about to break into a song, doesn't it? Or a nursery rhyme of sorts. So they eat lots and lots and lots of different things. They're constantly on the go. So as we're driving, if you see a lot of the trees that are pushed over or branches that are broken, 9 times out of 10, it's the elephants that have actually done that. Kind of like this one over here, which we'll have a look at. Check this out. Now, this is an old knobthorn tree. And it was pushed down long time ago. I reckon that it probably didn't die because it was pushed over. I reckon that the elephants would have stripped the bark from this tree, like I said, using the tusks. And now, as we're coming into winter, because we're in autumn at the moment, we're not going to get any more rain. So everything is going to become very dry and not so tasty. So then the elephants have to move away from grass and leaves and start feeding on the bark of trees. And that way, if they strip it, they stop the nutrients from flowing from the roots to the leaves, and then it dies. But these trees can stand up for quite a long time, and then eventually they would have pushed it down. Now, Brody, you've said it's super hot, and you're wondering how hot is it? Well, it's 86 degrees Fahrenheit at the moment. That's pretty warm considering it is, what time is it? Almost 6 p.m. in the evening. And it's getting very dark today. Normally the sun's up for much longer than this, but we had all these big clouds come over, and we think that we're going to get rain maybe tomorrow. We think there's definitely a storm brewing in the distance. So we hope we don't get wet now, although the clouds are too high for it to rain on top of us. I'm looking forward to the rain and to the cooler weather, because it is exceptionally warm in this area. Quite easy to get sunburnt as well. And you've got to make sure you drink lots of water and put lots of sunscreen on your body. Right, we're going to go down towards Treehouse Dam, and I'm sure we're going to see lots of birds there too. Tristan has got one of the noisiest, most annoying, and also quite a large pest in South Africa. But I'm sure he'll tell you more about the Egyptian goose.
Well, I've actually got 2 of the most noisiest birds that we get out here. The one on the right-hand side, which is an Egyptian goose, is the one that Taylor is actually talking about. They are a bit of a pest. They go absolutely everywhere, and they're taking over a lot of the waterways of South Africa and pushing out a lot of our other water birds, which is not very good. And so they are noisy, they are loud, and they are very, very numerous all over the place. So we see lots of them in these areas. Now, the other bird that's in front and on the left-hand side that has got a grey body and a blue head, that's called a helmeted guinea fowl. And they also make a lot of noise and can be a big pain, but they at least help us a lot, because they're a bird that when they start making a lot of noise, sometimes you can find that there is a predator close by, and so they're great for finding leopard. We use these guys to find leopards on our journeys, and this is just the first of a whole group of them that are going to be coming our way. They're slowly but surely walking across the dam wall. So this is the edge of where the dam is, and you see that one where it's running to the left. The rest are coming from that side, so it's probably running just to rejoin with the rest of them. So they're just there on the bank. Go back the other way, Seb. No, it's okay. So they're all over the place there. Where that fallen over tree is, behind that is where most of them are. You can just see them on the right of your screen, just kind of drifting along. Too far where the fallen over tree was? That's okay, don't worry.
There's guinea pigs everywhere.
So sorry, Bex, if you can just repeat that again. There's more of our guinea fowls going down. You can see a beautiful blue head that I was talking about. So, Eric, the most dangerous animal that we could find here, it depends on what you're doing. And if you are in a situation where you're in a car like this, probably the most dangerous to you would be an elephant. They are very, very large and very powerful, and they will be able to easily attack a vehicle and be able to hurt you very badly. So elephants are probably the most dangerous in a car. If you're walking around and you're tracking on foot and you're trying to find animals like that, then probably there's two animals that can be very dangerous. One is a buffalo and the other is a hippo. So these guys here, while they're in water, are very, very, very chilled, but when they're outside of water, they can be very dangerous, and they can be individuals that you have to be very careful of. Now, Nicole, you're wondering how long a hippo can live for. So that cute little face that you see on the back there should be around for at least another 30 years. So they normally live to about 30, 35, depending on how things go. Most of the time in the wild, though, it's about 30 years that they will live for in these areas. And like I was saying earlier today, is that actually these guys are not hunted by many things. So they mostly are dying by old age. They're not actually eaten by lions or anything like that. Even when they're little babies, they can sometimes be hunted, but most of the time they die of old age. Now, Tyler, hippos under the water are pretty much just relaxing and sleeping. They come out at night to go and feed. Because they don't have any hair on their body, they lose a lot of moisture and they dehydrate. So what that basically means is, I don't know if you've ever been in the sun and you've spent the whole day in the sun, you start to get a headache and you start to feel like it's not very nice and you get sunburnt. So it's the same for the hippos, as they get that same thing. Oh, hello hippos, what's wrong? The hippos are giving each other a hard time. It's the mom with the baby that's chasing the others off. And so they get very dehydrated. So they come out at night to feed off the grasses around. And so during the day, they come in here and they go under the water to hide away from the sun. So that's what they're trying to do, is to try and get away from the sun as much as possible, and just to try and stay nice and hydrated and stay cool and to keep out of being sunburnt and those kind of things. But they're very cool animals. I always enjoy spending a lot of time with hippos. They're my favorite things. So, Mario, hippos are very fast. They run a lot faster than you think. Even though they're big and they look like they're very fat with short little stubby legs that don't look like they can take them anywhere, they actually are quite fast. And so hippos will be able to run at about 20 miles an hour, which is faster than you or I could run. So you have to be very careful with hippos. And they have very big mouths with massive teeth, and so if they open their mouths and they show their teeth, hopefully one of them will do it, because at this time of the day they do yawn and you can see those big teeth, and then you'll be able to see why they can be very dangerous, because they run very fast and they have large teeth as well. Very cool animals. Now, where's the little baby? The baby's somewhere there, so Mom was protecting the baby a little bit, and that's why it moved towards the others. So, Lionel, you're asking about lions being stronger than hippos. Well, it's difficult to measure strength because what you have out here is sizes. And so hippos are way, 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 way bigger than the lions, almost 3 times the weight. In fact more, should I say. And so I don't know why 3 times, but 6 times the weight of some of the lionesses that we have out here. So they're much bigger, and so you can't really compare strength of them. But lions are incredibly strong and incredibly good at what they do, and hippos are incredibly strong. And that's why lions very seldom will actually hunt hippos, because it's very dangerous for them to hunt hippos. They prefer to go after things like buffalo that are a little bit smaller and are a little bit easier to hunt. But here's all our guinea fowls. This is what we were talking about earlier. This is a nice little family of guinea fowls. There's even some little babies in there. So they look like they're coming for a little afternoon drink, and they want to just quench their thirst from a hot day. Now, Joey, hippos will stay under the water for roughly about 5 minutes, as long as 7 minutes, but generally about 5 minutes. Well, you see the guinea fowls got a fright because of the hippo, and the hippo I think got a fright also from the guinea fowls. That's why that guinea fowl flew away. I wonder if they're going to make some noise. There we go. They're flying. These are actually quite clever guinea fowl, because you see where they're flying to. They're flying to a little island in this waterhole, and they're going to go sit in the tree. It's going to be very difficult for any predator to get to them. So things like leopards and civets and genets, which are all predators of the guinea fowl, they really would struggle to be able to get anywhere there, because they'd have to swim. So it's a very clever place for our guinea fowls to sit. Good. We're going to sit here a little longer. We'll enjoy the company of the hippos. Maybe they'll come out. Maybe we'll get an elephant coming down to drink in the next little bit. And so while we do that, let's send you back across to Taylor, who's got another animal that's bobbing about in the water.
Bobbing about and, well, gulping for air at the moment. Shame, I think this little terrapin is quite hot. Now, you're probably looking at this going, what on earth is a terrapin, Taylor? This looks like a turtle to me. But here in Africa, we call what you call a turtle a terrapin. Because for us, a turtle is, well, the reptile with a big shell on it that swims in the ocean and has flippers and typically lives in salt water, whereas a terrapin is like a mix between a tortoise and a turtle. It's got claws on its feet, but it's got semi-webbed toes as well, and they normally live in fresh water. So there's lots of them in here, and they also bite. They're like the snapping turtles. I wouldn't want to be bitten by one of these. So there's lots of them around here, big ones, small ones. These ones are sort of normal sized ones. There don't seem to be any big giants at this dam, and they're going to start to settle down now. Now, Nora, as we sit at the edge of Treehouse Dam, you're wondering if my job is dangerous. I suppose it is, yes, but you see, we are trained very, very well to be able to handle all the different situations out here in the bush. So it's only dangerous if you do something silly, or if maybe by some chance just an accident happens, which of course, you know, they're inevitable. So no, most of the time it's fairly safe as long as you are safe and you don't try and do something silly like go and pluck a hair from an elephant's tail or try and ride a hippopotamus in the water. Then you'll typically be safe. We also do bushwalks, so we don't just drive the cars around, we actually walk around here looking for animals and all sorts of smaller things, and we do tracking. So sometimes you can encounter the bigger animals on foot too, which can of course be a little bit dangerous. Now, Hannah, you're wondering, what do terrapins eat? Well, these guys eat a number of different things, but they most of the time are feeding on insects. One of my favorite things to watch, Hannah, is when something like a rhinoceros or a buffalo goes into the water to try and cool down for the day, and they typically do it with a buffalo. They'll swim up to the buffalo, and next minute they'll disappear underwater like it's just doing, and then the buffalo will leap up into the air, and then you know that the terrapin has bitten the buffalo, not because it's trying to eat the buffalo, but it's going after the ticks. So those are those creatures that suck blood off of different types of animal species, and they will love to eat them too. So they'll eat a number of different things. And there's also some birds down there. Mario, you're wondering how strong is the bite of a terrapin? I've never been bitten by one before, so I wouldn't have a clue, but I'd imagine that these terrapins would be able to cut your finger open, and maybe you would need stitches. But I'm going to keep my fingers to myself and not stick them anywhere near a terrapin's mouth, and that bird is called a blacksmith lapwing. You can see that's a beautiful blacksmith lapwing. And look at the beautiful reflection too. Now, they're also eating insects, and I don't know if you could see earlier, or you can see the tiny little ripples every now and then. So that's what that lapwing is going after. It's going to constantly keep running around the edge of the shallow water and peck the insects right off of the top of it. Imagine how many it has to eat every single day, because that's not much food for such a big bird. They've got long legs too, which I suppose makes him look a little bit bigger. And I saw the funniest thing the other day, and it was on one of our dam cams, and one of these birds was so hot that it actually completely covered itself in water. It sat down in the middle of the water, which you don't often see them doing, and was splashing about trying to cool down. It was quite funny. And these guys don't eat terrapins, these birds. They won't worry about them, but there are other birds, some birds that Tristan may see at Chitwa Dam, like the herons. Well, they will definitely gobble up a little terrapin. Egrets, they'd eat them too. Maybe even, what else would eat them? I'm sure there's lots of other birds there. I just can't think of them now that would eat them. But those birds are very busy. They're just going to carry on going round and round, looking for more insects to eat. Well, we're going to leave the dam because there's no big animals down here like I was hoping. Brent has also moved on from his lions. I wonder where he's heading to next.
Well, we're looking for the elusive spotted cat. I had footprints of a female leopard coming into this area, and I'm hoping now that it's got cooler, she's come out of the bush and she's going to be walking down the road looking for something to eat. Maeve is wondering how many days can a leopard live without water or food. Well, a leopard can go months without water as long as it's got food. They will drink the blood of the animals they kill. But a leopard can probably go 10 days or 2 weeks without, or 10 days to 2 weeks without food, depending on the individual, before it is just too much for them. Okay. Where, oh, where are you hiding? Now, that is an interesting question from Liam. What is the rarest animal I've ever seen? Now I've got to think. The rarest animal in terms of numbers left in the world that I've ever seen is probably mountain gorillas. I'm just trying to think of anything else that's very rare that I've seen. I've seen lots of very rare things like pangolins and stuff like that, but I'd have to say, yeah, mountain gorillas is the rarest animal in terms of how many are left in the world that I've seen. There's only a few thousand left in the world. No, not even a few thousand, just over 1,000 left in the world. What other very rare animals have I seen? Oh, actually, I know I've seen something that's even more rare than the mountain gorillas. It is the Atlantic humpback dolphin. I saw those off the coast of Central Africa, and there's said to be less than 450 of those dolphins left in the whole world. That's probably the rarest animal I've ever seen, the Atlantic humpback dolphin. Jake would like to know what type of animals are nocturnal in South Africa. Well, Jake, lions, leopards, hyenas, genets, which is a small type of, well, pretty much a cross between a cat and a raccoon, if I had to describe them in terms of looks, and civet, which is sort of the African version of the raccoon in terms of looks and behavior, white-tailed mongoose, lots of owls, nightjars, which is nocturnal bird species. What am I forgetting? Bush babies, which are very cute little primates. Anything else you can think of, Dave? Hippos. Hippos will come out of the water to feed at night, so they're quite nocturnal. And most of your little predators are nocturnal. Just trying to think. Caracal, serval, some small cats that occur here, also nocturnal. Am I running out of nocturnal things? My brain is turning, trying to think of any more. I think we've got most of them. I think one of my favorite nocturnal animals that we see quite a lot around here is hyenas. They are very, very interesting to watch. But this leopard is hiding from me today. I've been looking for her all morning and all evening. Tyler is wondering how fast can leopards run. Tyler, they can do just over 70 kilometers an hour. It is about 24 meters per second. They are ambush predators, so they can't keep that speed up for a very long time, and they generally like to attack their prey from under 10 meters. Okay, hold on, we're going over the big bump. Well, I'm going to make my way towards another waterhole. Hopefully we'll find some animals there. While we do that, it sounds like Tristan is still at the biggest waterhole in the northern Sabi Sands.
I am still at the biggest watering hole, and so far we haven't seen too much come down to drink. I was hoping that we'd maybe get some elephants or some of the antelope species, but it's just our hippos that are here at the moment, and they'll slowly but surely be starting to come out and starting to move towards the bank for their feeding for the evening. But I think with us here, they're going to be a little shy, and maybe that's why they're still staying where they are at the moment. So they're just still sitting tight, really, in the water, just like they have been for the last sort of few hours or for the course of the day. So hopefully they'll get up and move just now, but at the moment, still very sort of relaxed and taking it easy. It's still quite warm at the moment, and it's going to get a little cooler tonight because there is a bit of a wind and cloud, and once that kind of blows in, that will be better. Danny, you're asking how many types of frogs are there? Well, here in Southern Africa, there's 161 or 168 species, I would think. Let me just double check for you quickly, Danny. But there's about 161, I think, in Southern Africa. And then in this particular part of the world, we see 39 different species, as far as I know. I'll just double check it for you. 161 species in Southern Africa, and in this part of the world, I will tell you now just to make double sure, but it is somewhere around that area. 45 species. So 45 species in this part of the world, and 161 species throughout the world, throughout the whole of Southern Africa. Now, it's interesting because you're asking about frogs, and yesterday was actually World Frog Day, so I hope that you celebrated World Frog Day and that you learnt about frogs, because frogs are very, very special animals. They are an indicator of a very healthy system, and without frogs, many other animals wouldn't survive. So it's important that we have lots of frogs. At the moment, though, our frogs are not very many because we haven't had too much rain recently. Even though we've got a lot of water here, a lot of the frogs rely on rain, and so if we don't have too much rain, then we don't see too many of the frogs at all. So we haven't seen too many frogs recently. You hear them a little bit here and there, but they prefer areas where there's at least a little bit of grass and some vegetation that they can use. Now, Geordie, when these hippos encounter a crocodile, you want to know what happens. So in this area, we do have crocodiles in this waterhole. At the moment, I can't see any of them. There's 2 crocodiles, big crocodiles that live here, and then a couple of little babies. And when they normally come across the hippos, they just go their separate ways. And the reason why is, even though crocodiles are very, very big and very powerful, a hippo is even more powerful than the crocodile. And so the crocodiles will try and grab baby hippos, but they will never go after big adult hippos, because the big adult hippos are too strong, too powerful, big, powerful jaws that they can then try and bite those crocodiles, and they can do a lot of damage to a crocodile. They can even kill a crocodile. So the crocodiles and the hippos have respect for each other. They just go different ways. They try not to interact too much. But if a crocodile comes near a baby, then you'll find the hippos will chase that crocodile away very quickly, and they'll try and kind of either bite it, or if the crocodile doesn't get out the way, they'll even kill it. So got to be very, very careful if you're a little if you're a crocodile and if the hippo's around. But there's a hippo yawning. Has it got its mouth open? No, it's just closed it. Sorry, it's my fault. I only saw it quite late, but I was hoping that we'd see a hippo yawn, but it yawned a little bit too far away, and so we didn't see too much. But I think what we're going to do is probably leave this waterhole now, because everybody is still staying in the water, and we're going to try and see if we can find some other nocturnal creatures that Brent was talking about. But before we go, Lily wants to know about where these hippos sleep. So these hippos sleep in the water. That's where they mostly sleep. They'll either sleep in the water like this, or they'll come onto the bank and they lie on the side of the bank here and have a little nap during the course of the day. But most of the time they're sleeping in the water itself, which is pretty crazy. And funny enough, most of these hippos are actually sitting on the bottom as we speak. They're actually not floating or anything like that. Good, well, we're going to carry on. We're going to try to find some of those nocturnal animals using a spotlight, but somebody who's already got their spotlights out is Taylor, and let's see what she's managed to find.
Fine, but no, I've already caught like 6 insects in one eye thing, which is really good going. So we have got a spotlight out, and we are looking for chameleons. We are looking for snakes. We are looking for bats and bush babies and genets and servals and all sorts of things. And owls. Zachary, you're wondering if we have snakes here. I'm going to show you one now. We saw one earlier this afternoon. I took a photo of it, so I shall show you a picture. Let me get my camera out. That's not a snake, that's a bateleur, which is a bird. Check. See, there's one. And this is a juvenile boomslang, which is a snake that likes to live up in the trees, although they do come down to the ground sometimes, but they're very, very pretty. And so it's just a little one, but quite cool. So we were lucky to get to see one. We were actually very lucky because you don't often see snakes. But I think snakes are easier to spot at night. So we're going to keep checking the trees. And also it's been a hot day. Maybe they're going to come out onto the road to get the last warmth. I've said to nature that I would quite like to see a puff adder, which is in the viper family. So it kind of looks like a rattlesnake. Now, Joe, you're wondering how often do we see bush babies? I don't know when I last saw one. I saw a glimpse of one the other day, but like a proper sighting has been quite a long time. They're around, but they're quite shy. Most of the animals that come out of the bushes will come out from hiding and spend their time doing things at night are normally quite shy. They don't really want to be spotted. So you got to be super, super quick, and they normally bounce so quickly from branch to branch that you're just left with a branch banging up and down, and you don't often get to see it. So we'll try and see if we can find one. That's why I actually came around here, because there's lots of little trees, lots of trees that have sap on them, and that's something that a bush baby likes to eat the gum from trees. They normally do that in winter, but otherwise they're also pretty good at getting insects, and some of them even eat a bit of fruit. But Brent would also have his spotlight out now, shining from left to right, looking for all sorts of animals. Maybe he'll be the first one to find a chameleon.
What are you laughing at, Darwickens? Huh? What are you laughing at?
Oh my goodness, sorry everybody. I think there was something wrong on Brent's side, but you're back with me again. Maybe he's going through a bad signal area. We're still searching for all the animals. Let's have a look and see if we can find anything. I'm even looking for spiders. It would be really quite cool to find some spiders. Some community nest spiders would be nice. John, now you've asked what animal do we see the most of? I'm going to keep driving, because if I stay in one spot, I'm probably not going to find anything. John, it's probably going to be something like an impala, which is an antelope, which we didn't actually see many of today, which was strange, because normally they're everywhere. So we see a lot of the different antelope species. We do see a lot of elephants too, and we're very lucky, and I'm very privileged to say this, but we also see lots of leopards and lots of lions. We actually see more leopards than we do lions. So this is a very good time for leopards to come out, especially after a hot day. So we'll keep checking, and I'm listening out for alarm calls. So I'm not just searching with my eyes on the spotlight, I'm also using my ears, because if an impala or a kudu or a waterbuck or one of the antelope species does spot a predator like a leopard, a lion or hyena, they're actually going to give an alarm call and then lure us there. Right, we're going to try this all again. I'm going to send you across to Brent and see where he is.
So we've switched into infrared for viewing at night, so we don't disturb the nocturnal animals. So I've arrived at the waterhole. Unfortunately, there's nothing here. You can see the Djuma Safari Lodge in the background though, where people come on holiday to go on safari. But nothing at the waterhole, so we're going to keep moving. Now, Connor is wondering, how long have I been a guide for? Well, Connor, professionally now 17 or 18 years, something like that. But I'm very lucky. I grew up in the African bush. My parents had safari lodges in South Africa, Botswana and Zambia. So I've been living in safari lodges most of my life. And I've been guiding since just out of school. So I'm hoping to find a little bush baby or a mongoose. Shane Lee would like to know whether we ever touch animals. No, we do not, Shane Lee. Most of the animals here will hurt you if you try to touch them. Now, it is a very human thing to want to touch animals, but animals, a lot of wild animals don't like being touched, and it's not nice to keep them in cages or zoos, so it's much better if we don't touch them and we just watch them in their natural habitat doing what they want to do. That makes them much happier than being in a zoo or somewhere where people can touch them. It's not very good for the wild animals to be touched by people. Nicole is wondering, is it difficult to find animals? Nicole, sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sometimes we can drive around for 6 hours and see one animal. Other times we drive 5 meters out of our camp and the lions are lying right there, or there's a leopard in the tree. So every day is different, and that's what's so fun about going on safari. But we see almost every day, we'll see elephants and impala, which is a type of antelope, and wildebeest, and inyala, and bushbuck. So, oh, it took off. Let me see if I can catch him again. We're just talking about nocturnal animals, and one is landed in the road. It is called a nightjar. Here we go. It's a nocturnal bird. And they've actually got, well, off it goes, it's chasing bugs. So they've actually got very special feathers on the side of their beak. So they've got a very big mouth that they can open very wide to catch moths and other nocturnal insects. But they've got feathers that are almost like a cat's whiskers. So when the moth changes directions, they can feel it on those whiskers, and then they can eat it. Okay, I'm hoping up ahead we might find some animals, and there's a big open clearing, and a lot of the herbivores, so the plant-eating animals, come up onto this clearing at this time of the night. They move away from the thickets because their eyesight is not as good as the carnivores like lions and leopards, so they like to sleep out in the open areas where they can protect themselves. Mamadi is wondering which animal has the best vision. Well, again, it depends whether it's night or daytime, Mamadi. During, what have we got there? What have we got there? During the daytime, the animal by far with the best vision is a vulture, as they can see carcasses and kills from a very long distance. Always a little steenbok, a tiny little antelope. There he is. So that's not a baby, that's an adult steenbok. And at night time, the animals that have got the best vision are lions, leopards, and hyenas. And they can see about 8 times better than us at night. Well, we don't want animals out on the open plain. Well, Taylor's taken on a very tough challenge at this time of the year to try find you a chameleon. Let's go see if she's had any luck.
Oh, we might fun. You never know. It's been warm enough today. What I am doing is trying to find an old baboon spider tunnel on the edge of this damn wall. But now, I can't see it. Not at all. Now, Irene, you're wondering what is the biggest chameleon that I've ever seen? It was a flapneck chameleon, which is the species of chameleon that we see here. And I actually saw it while I was in Kenya not so long ago. It was massive. It was bigger than the size of my hand, in fact. Well, actually, yeah, if I did that, it was probably the width of my hand. And yeah, you could actually see its head was much bigger than my fingers. So if this was the head of it, and then its tail went that way, it was actually quite big, in fact. So really, really, really big creature. Big, small creature. It was quite nice to see. I was going to watch it because it completely eroded away from all the rain. Whee! Check. I like it when somebody says I can't do something. Oh, what's that? A moth? Butterfly. Can you see it, Craig? I might have to go back, I think. Oh no, you've got it. Here we go. There's a beautiful butterfly. And that's where it's going to rest for the evening. I don't think it's going to go anywhere at this time of night because, well, we know butterflies spend their time out during the day. It's the moths, although there are some moths that spend their time out during the day too. We call those diurnal moths. But most of them will start fluttering around my lights. So that's quite cool. Better watch out though. There's lots of things that would want to eat a butterfly even at night time. Wow. Very cool. Anyways, sadly I didn't get to find you a chameleon tonight, but there's always next time, and I'll keep searching and keep practicing to find those camouflaged creatures. Off you go back up to Brain to spend the last few minutes of the show with him.
Well, I'm just sitting in the dark and listening. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to move the car a little bit, and we're going to show you what happens when we turn off all the lights. So it's just after dark now. So there's a very important reason why you never walk around the bush at night. So you can walk around the bush during the day, no problem, but you can't at night. Are you ready, Dave? I'm going to kill the presenter light as well. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So you can see how dark it is. You can see the screen here. That is the screen, so I can see what the camera is seeing. Now, at this sort of light, you can see we can still see a little bit, but a lion would be invisible to us. That's why human beings need to go home when it gets dark, because we lose our eyesight. And it's an evolutionary instinctive response, is going home when it gets dark, so we avoid big predators like lions and bears in North America. Now Cooper is wondering, what is the scariest animal I've seen? Whoa. The human being, Cooper. The human being. So most wild animals are not scary. And there we go. Hello, I'm back. As long as you understand them and you respect them, I would say probably the scariest animal is the human being, because they can do lots of very, very naughty things. And they do very bad damage to the planet. So I'd say human beings are the scariest animal. I have lots of love and respect for lions and elephants and leopards and hyenas and wild dogs. They all fit in their perfect little spot in the ecosystem. Whereas we tend to change our ecosystem to try suit ourselves. And it's something we probably have to work on as human beings, to be less wasteful and use less resources of the natural environment, and so we can make sure that our children, our children's children, and our children's children's children are able to enjoy it. I hope you guys have enjoyed the school drive from all of us here at Safari Live. Good night.